let's just go ahead and open it up.
Is this the day that training camp really starts in your mind when they put on the pads and they start hitting? Is it for real now?
Yeah, I mean, this is the real thing, you know, and this is where guys begin to separate themselves. You know, you kind of feel like between spring and the first 4 days, without practice, without pads, you're beginning to put guys where you feel like they belong in that somewhat depth chart, you know, to get you to pads. And so now we're about to find out, is that real or not? And guys are going to separate themselves. We got a number of battles. And so, yeah, this is when it gets exciting. I mean, you know, the staff's giddy. They're all excited. I'm excited. The players I know are going to be excited because this is football. This is the real thing, you know. It's not touch anymore. And now, that being said, we're going to work them in today because it is the first day of pads. So we're going to work a couple of things here, but it's really to acclimate them with the pads on to get ready for tomorrow, and they're on. So it'll be good, though. I love where we're at.
Coach, we talked to Derek Barnes, and he said he felt like this year was personal for him. He's been bringing a lot of aggression in practice. What have you thought about him, and you know, this first week and just going forward in the season? How have you liked him so far?
Yeah, I love where he's at. He's in a really good spot, and you know, I love his attitude, and you know, he's one of those guys I think about. You know, he came in 3 years ago. You know, he's one of our pups, and he's just another one of our guys that has grown. You know, he's coming into his own. You know, and it's good to see the confidence and the aura, the aggression, the teammate that he is. It's just he's in a great place right now. So. You know, we see him continuing to trend the right place, the right way. And I love the fact that that's how you should treat it. It is personal, you know. He knows what's at stake for himself, but for us as well. And he's going to get every opportunity to showcase his ability to help us, you know.
Pads are so important, obviously, for the trenches, the OL and the DL. What are the other positions you really focus on where you need to close that evaluation gap with the pads on? Is there, you know, a couple that are really important?
Well, look, I think the DBs are going to be big. I mean, especially in our defense, the nickel position and run fits, and then our outside corners. You know, we like all those guys, but we have a whole new, you know, it's a whole new stable. The same thing that excites you is the same thing. You got to figure out some of these things, you know. We've been able to see some of the cover ability out of them, but what you don't get is, you know, when Dave Montgomery's bearing down on you and he hits the edge, are you going to tackle him? You know, are you going to be able to slow him down so the cavalry gets there? And so some of those things are going to begin to show over this week. We'll figure out. And that's going to be important, you know, because in our defense, it's not just about covering. You got to be able to do everything. So that's a big one. You know, speaking of that, certainly the running back position, you know, behind David and Gibbs, is that whole thing sorting it out. That's a good competition that we've got going on. Look, Jefferson's had a good week, you know. Certainly, we know what Craig is. He's as steady as they come. And so, look, there's just, we have a number of positions here where, you know, we're going to find a lot out.
Dan, do you sense that Jameson's confidence is at an all-time high, even willing to chirp with the defensive coaches at practice?
Yeah, this is the most confident that I've seen him since he's been here. And, you know, he came in with the right mindset, you know, when we started this offseason, and that has not waned one bit. You know, he's in a good place, and he's taking the coaching. He's trying to work on it. He's improving, and he's making plays. So we like where he's at mentally, you know, and emotionally. You know, the only thing I would say is everybody's got to keep their head, you know. There's going to be, you know, the tempers get going and there's emotion to it and there's, you know, and you can feel the energy building, but you still got to be able to, man, keep your head about you and make sure that you're ready for the next play. That's all. So I love the energy we got at practice right now.
Another receiver. We know what you got kind of maybe in the top 3 guys. There's a lot of competition going on in that back portion of the roster. I think giving Fountain a lot of reps up up top, and he's made some of these incredible splash plays, both special teams and offense. Your message is consistency, not just flashes. So, what have you seen from him in that regard now that you've had him here for almost a full year?
Yeah, Fountain was one of those guys that when we got him here last year, practice squad. By the end of the year, he was one of those where you're like, man, this guy improved. Like you could see it in practice, you could feel it. And man, he works. He's a worker. He's got ability and he works. And so he's one of those guys that he's caught our eye. He's caught my eye. Like I see him, and I told him that yesterday. He is making plays. And the other thing is he's doing some things on special teams that is catching our eye too. So that's a good sign. Man, have a big receiver that runs pretty good for that size, and he plays physical. He kind of brings a different game in that room, and could potentially help us on special teams. That's a good sign. So he's in a good spot. I think to that point, just the consistency of, man, if we need to move you, we move you another spot on offense is just the mental aspect of it, man. Just, cut out a couple of these little things that are popping up, the details of it. And, but we like where he's at. He's caught our eye.
You mentioned last week moving Branch to safety. I'm just curious what you think that might mean for the deployment of Melifonwu and just what you can do with him after the way he ended last season.
Well, there again, it's nothing is set in stone yet. And some of that is we really feel like, the safety position could be really good for Branch. We certainly know he can play nickel. But it's one of those, man, is that the best thing for him and for us? Now we sort this whole thing out, and if he is doing what he's doing and he's continuing to grow and we don't have a nickel that comes to the forefront, well, it could very easily be, well, if he's your safety and then Branch is back to nickel. So we have a lot of moving parts here. But right now, it really is, when Branch gets back and is ready to go, which he's in a good place. He's coming. His rehab is going well. He's out there and walk through. And you're talking about a competition between those two at the safety position.
The competition at the nickel spot, rotated a lot of guys, including, we've seen a few guys in the spring, a few guys here in summer. How have you liked how that has shaped up so far?
Yeah, I like it. Look, I think, we had Meek. He took a ton of reps in the spring, and then he's done a good job this week, getting him back in there. And a number of things that were an issue in the spring have not popped up, the mental aspect of it. And so, look, we know he can cover, he can run, he's tough, he's aggressive. Some of that will be, all right, now once we do have the pads, the run game, how's he going to hold up in there? Is he, all of those things. And then E-Man is new to the position for the most part. So, and he's doing a good job. He really is. Look, he's a cerebral guy. He's very smart. And so, those two guys are rolling in there right now, and we're just letting them go. But there again, this week's going to be a huge part of the development for both those guys.
What is it about Mosley that you thought could work out that slot for you after not having a ton of experience there? What did you see in him there?
Well, I think first of all, we know how he's wired. I just think with what we've got in the room right now, you're as a starting point, you're trying to find what is the best combination of the talent that you have, knowing that you got Arnold and certainly we got Carlton that we traded for, Rakestraw, Vildor's back, just this whole, and it just felt like, okay, where's the, if you're trying to find a way to use your best lineup potentially as a starting point, what would you do with Mosley? And there was an argument of, we went back and forth. You put him outside, you put him inside as a starting spot. We know he can go outside and compete. I mean, look, the guys, but man, let's give him a chance inside and see where it goes. Okay.